Now, this one on Lexi Hall got me riled up because this was early on in the game, and this was probably the best defense that Lexi could have played. If you watch this play here, Ryan Howard is going down. Lexi Hall is guarding her. Ryan goes behind her back. Lexi doesn't touch her because she's backpedaling the whole time. She has her hands straight up. Like, this is really good defense that Lexi played here.
Caitlin Clark just responded to the WNBA playoff corruption, and she's exposing referee scandals that could destroy the league. If the WNBA ignores what Clark is revealing about these corrupt officials, the entire playoff system could collapse. We're talking about the league's biggest superstar calling out systematic targeting through rigged officiating. Sources say Clark has been watching every playoff game, documenting every missed call, every bad challenge, every moment the refs destroyed game flow. And after seeing her own Fever team get robbed by officials in their elimination game against Atlanta, where they had to use both challenges in the first half and both were successful, she's ready to speak out. The Indiana Fever versus Atlanta Dream playoff game just revealed the most corrupt officiating we've ever seen. Coach Stephanie White said after the game, "The refs were horrible the whole game." But Clark's response to this corruption, it's about to change everything. Because what happened in that Atlanta gym wasn't just bad officiating, it was a deliberate pattern that's been destroying playoff basketball, and the evidence is absolutely shocking.
Well, Lexi, talk about the physicality of this game and knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
But here's the step almost every WNBA fan missed, and it's the real reason Clark's team got eliminated. Let's jump into what really happened in that Fever versus Atlanta Dream game. You guys, just a reminder, the first round of the WNBA playoffs is a 3-game series that goes back to back to back. This was Clark's playoff debut, and the officiating was so bad that it could have ended her postseason before it even started. The Indiana Fever lost to the Atlanta Dream, but here's where it gets absolutely disgusting. Clark watched her team get robbed by officials who were so incompetent they forced Indiana to use both of their challenges in the first half alone. And get this, both challenges were successful, meaning the refs screwed up twice in just 20 minutes. There was this play where Aaliyah Boston was guarding Bree Jones, and Jones literally used her left hand to push Boston's hand away while shooting with her right. The refs called a foul on Boston. Clark could see from the bench that Jones was the one doing the pushing, not Boston getting the foul. Then there was this play with Lexi Hall that got Clark absolutely fired up. Ryan Howard was driving, went behind her back, and Lexi was backpedaling with perfect defense, hands straight up, minimal contact. Howard just tripped over her own feet, but the refs called a foul on Hull anyway. Clark's response? You could see her on the bench getting more and more frustrated as these calls piled up. Her coach Stephanie White said after the game, "We used both of our challenges. We didn't have any. The refs were horrible the whole game." But here's what really set Clark off. They were playing in that horrible Atlanta gym that only holds 3,500 people. The floor was like a slip and slide with players sliding around constantly. Odyssey Sims literally did a split and nearly got injured because of how slippery it was. And get this irony, Atlanta did a whiteout for the playoff game, putting white t-shirts on every seat. But guess what? The Indiana Fever were wearing white that night. Clark had to watch her team play in their opponent's whiteout wearing the exact same color. But wait, the corruption gets even worse when you see what happened in the fourth quarter. Here's the moment that made Clark realize the refs weren't just incompetent, they were actively trying to destroy her team. You guys, this is where Clark's response gets really intense. She watched the officials completely lose control of the game in the most crucial moments. The score was 53-63, Atlanta was up by 10, and the Fever were fighting to stay alive in the playoffs. But instead of calling a fair game, the refs decided to hand out technical fouls like candy. There was contact at the other end of the basket that the referees completely missed again. Clark watched from the bench as her entire team, the entire bench, ran off to confront the referee about the obvious missed call.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
Coach Stephanie White followed the team all the way to half court and got teed up. Clark was probably thinking, finally someone standing up to these corrupt officials. White took that tech because she knew Clark couldn't afford to get one herself. But then it got even worse. There was another play where Odyssey Sims got tripped, was on the ground, and the refs blew the whistle. But when Sims slapped the ball away in frustration, something so trivial it happens every possession, they gave her a technical too. Clark had to watch 2 back-to-back technicals at the beginning of the fourth quarter, which completely killed any momentum her team had built. This was the turning point of the entire game. You could see Clark on the bench probably thinking, this is insane. Her coach was getting punished for defending the team, and her teammates were getting texts for basic basketball reactions. Meanwhile, Atlanta was getting every call, every bounce, every break from these same officials who were treating the Fever like they were the enemy. Clark's response was clear in her body language. She knew this wasn't just bad officiating anymore, this was systematic destruction of her team's playoff hopes. But here's what really convinced Clark that something bigger was going on. But here's the moment Clark realized this corruption wasn't just targeting her team, it was destroying the entire WNBA playoffs. You guys, Clark didn't just watch her own team get screwed, she's been studying every single playoff game, and the pattern is absolutely shocking. Clark watched the Seattle Storm versus Las Vegas Aces game, and while Aja Wilson was dominating with 29 points, 10 for 18 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, the officiating was actually fair. Why? Because the league wanted their defending champions to advance. Then she watched the New York Liberty versus Phoenix Mercury game that went into overtime. The biggest story was Breanna Stewart getting injured, a scary non-contact knee injury where she was literally crying on the bench. But the refs? They let them play physical, fair basketball. Clark noticed that in games without her team, referees actually managed the game properly. No excessive challenges needed, no back-to-back technical fouls, no players slipping all over terrible court conditions. But then Clark heard what Golden State coach Natalie Nakase said after their game against Minnesota. I thought we were playing beautiful basketball, and then all of a sudden the fouls get called consecutively. The fouls are getting called when we're on a run, and it shifts the momentum. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happened to Clark's Fever team. Clark started connecting the dots. It wasn't just her team getting targeted. It was any team that threatened the league's preferred narrative or playoff bracket. The Las Vegas Aces, who the league clearly wants in the finals, got clean officiating. The Fever, with the league's biggest draw, but maybe not their favorite, got destroyed by corrupt refs. Clark's response was probably, this isn't about basketball anymore, this is about control. And honestly, when you see the pattern across all these playoff games, you start to understand why Clark is so frustrated. But here's what Clark discovered about the bigger conspiracy. Here's the bombshell that Clark's investigation uncovered about why WNBA officiating has been broken for years, and why it's only getting worse. You guys, Clark started digging deeper into this officiating crisis, and what she found explains everything we've been seeing. Clark realized this isn't a new problem. Rachel did a deep dive on WNBA referees months ago, exposing what's truly going on and why they are as bad as they are. The corruption goes way deeper than just missed calls. She's been watching this officiating disaster all season long. Every coach, every player, every analyst has been calling out the same issues. It's not just her team, it's league-wide systematic failure. Clark probably remembered what Rachel said about feeling like a broken record. The refs are bad. The refs are bad. The refs are really bad. The refs are ruining the game. This has been happening for months, maybe years. Clark saw that coaches across the league feel like they're losing games because of referees. Players are fed up, coaches are fed up, fans are fed up. Even Rachel said, if we want to go back to last year's finals, the Lynx literally felt like the game was rigged because of the phantom foul that they called. Think about that for a second. Clark realized she wasn't the first victim of this corruption. Last year's finals were already being called rigged by teams. This is a pattern that's been destroying the integrity of WNBA basketball for seasons. While other professional leagues invest in proper officiating, the WNBA has been letting this disaster continue year after year. Rachel's solution? Fix the refereeing before you worry about all this other stuff in the league. Clark's response to learning this history was probably shock. She thought she was dealing with isolated incidents, but she was actually walking into a league-wide officiating crisis that nobody has been able to solve. And here's what Clark thinks needs to happen immediately to save the playoffs. But wait, there's something even more corrupt that Clark discovered. Here's the disgusting reality that Clark uncovered about what WNBA players are actually dealing with during playoffs. And it's not just the refs. You guys, Clark's investigation into playoff corruption revealed something even worse than bad officiating. The entire infrastructure is designed to destroy good basketball. Clark looked at what happened in that Atlanta gym and realized the corruption starts with the facilities themselves. That arena only holds 3,500 people. It's not even a real professional venue. She watched players sliding around on that floor like it was a slip and slide. The humidity, the floor quality, everything was substandard. When Odyssey Sims literally did a split and nearly got injured because of how slippery it was, Clark knew this was bigger than referee corruption. Clark realized that some teams get to play in proper arenas with quality courts, while others have to deal with dangerous, unprofessional conditions. The Atlanta Dream gets a home court advantage not because of fans, but because visiting teams can't even maintain their footing. Think about this. Clark's team had to play elimination basketball on a court so bad that professional athletes were sliding into splits. Meanwhile, other playoff venues have proper NBA quality facilities. Clark probably thought, how is this even legal? Players are risking career-ending injuries not because of hard fouls, but because the league allows substandard playing surfaces in playoff games. The NBA would never allow playoff games in facilities where players are constantly slipping and sliding, but the WNBA just accepts it as normal. Clark's response to seeing this infrastructure corruption was probably, fix the courts, fix the arenas, fix the basic standards before you worry about anything else. And honestly, when you're trying to showcase the best women's basketball in the world, having players slip and slide around dangerous courts makes the entire league look amateur. But here's what Clark thinks is the real solution to save WNBA basketball. Here's Clark's master plan to fix the WNBA and why the league better listen before they lose everything. You guys, after witnessing all this corruption firsthand, Clark knows exactly what needs to happen to save women's basketball. Clark watched her team get eliminated by corrupt officiating, saw players getting injured on dangerous courts, and realized the entire playoff system is broken. But here's the thing, she's not just complaining, she's building a solution. First, fix the officiating system completely, pay referees more, train them better, do whatever it takes to get competent officials. Just like Rachel said, fix the refereeing before you worry about all this other stuff in the league. Clark knows that coaches like Stephanie White shouldn't have to sacrifice themselves with technical fouls just to defend their players. The system should protect good basketball, not punish it. Clark's probably thinking, if anything goes in the CBA, fix venues like the Atlanta Dream Gym. No more 3,500 seat arenas with dangerous floors. No more players doing splits because the court is like a slip and slide. Clark has seen what happens when the league gets it right. Look at Aja Wilson's dominant performance. 29 points, perfect officiating, proper venue. That's what every playoff game should look like. The difference between Clark's nightmare playoff experience and Wilson's smooth path shows exactly what's possible when the league actually tries to put on a professional product. Clark's response to all this corruption is simple. You need to have a good product on the court for fans to stick around. The fans are fed up, the players are fed up, the coaches are fed up. And honestly, Clark probably realizes that people are not going to stop speaking up about this until it gets fixed. The league can either listen to her solution or watch their biggest superstar walk away from a broken system. But here's what happens if they don't fix this immediately. Caitlin Clark's response to all this officiating chaos has been perfect. She let the evidence speak for itself. Every missed call, every bad challenge, every dangerous court condition just proves her point about systematic corruption. The league better listen to what Clark is trying to tell them. Fix the referees, fix the venues, fix the basic standards, or watch the most talented generation of players walk away from a broken system. Oh, and by the way, the Fever just won Game 2 against Atlanta, evening up the series. If you think Clark's team is going to win this whole series after everything they've been through, drop Go Fever in the comments below. Let's show some love for the team that refused to let corrupt officiating destroy their playoff dreams.